Conversation, the podcast to support your spiritual revolution. I'm your host, Kara Goodwin, and today I'm joined by Jason Medlock. As a quantum healing hypnotist, mindset performance coach, and remote viewer, among other roles, Jason provides a unique exploration of various spiritual modalities. He's the author of the groundbreaking work Empowered by Consciousness, a transformative manual for self-discovery and personal development, simplifies complex concepts, and offers practical techniques for their application. So, welcome, Jason. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Kara, thank you. I'm excited to be here, and I'm just looking forward to sharing information and having a really moreover, a great conversation for your audience.
Yes, so I'd love to just hear about what got you into these different modalities like QHHT and so forth. What drew you to that type of work?
Everybody wants to know about QHHT. It's so fascinating.
I love Dolores Cannon. And
Yes.
yeah.
So it started when I was 9 years old, and I write about this in my book, Empowered by Consciousness. Just going to church and being a young boy, playing with toys, sitting there with my mom, standing up, getting down, praying every time you're supposed to, Methodist church, Christian faith. And I was just like, yeah, it gotta be something else to it. But I was young. I was wondering, like, okay, where's God? Everybody's praying to him. I know I'm gonna see him at some point. So, but as I got older, I knew that God was the energy, he was a spirit. But just this wondering of what else was out, what was going on around me. And my sister introduced me to affirmations of faith or manifestation. So I had a list of things that I would say every day to, I want to be a great football player. I want to do good in school. And all that stuff was happening for me in college. And I was just amazed, like, man, my sister gave me this stuff to read every day. I mean, these 15 different things to say, and they were actually working. And time went on and living my life. And then my sister introduced me to The Secret. And I know everybody's watched The Secret. And I was like, wow, okay, metaphysics, okay, the law of attraction, vision boarding. So we would have the vision board parties once a year. My sister would have them, and she's my spiritual partner. But we would have the vision board parties, and I would just notice, Cara, that every time I put my pictures on the board, every year or at some point in the year, I would achieve one of those items I was looking at every day, saying that I wanted. And I'm like, man, there's something different than prayer out here. Although prayer works, but there's something different out here. And then COVID-19 hit. And that's when we were all forced to look from within. We were forced to be in our homes. And I started exploring. And I explored, oh man, in Brenda Womack, the 12 Archangels book. I read that book and it sort of changed my perspective on consciousness and our connection with source, God, Buddha, whatever religion you want to name it. And I started to then fall off into the entire Dolores Cannon thing. I wasn't a quantum healing hypnotist yet, but I read at least 8 of her books. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I would read books by Sarah Pavlin, Out of Body Experiences by Dr. Bob Monroe. And Sarah Pavlin had the astral projection, how to do astral projection. And I got into transcendental meditation. So I'm a TMer and just started to experience different practices, different modalities, and not only experience them, started to get certified and go seek professional coaching in all these different areas. I'm a remote viewer. Obviously, we talked about that. So I got started just from the curiosity of a 9-year-old boy, just thinking that and wondering, I know there's more to it than just standing up, sitting down, pass the tray to put the money in.
Right. Oh, I sympathize with that so much. Going to church as a child, and it's like wanting to have this relationship with God. And there was so much formality and so many complicated words and stories I didn't relate to and didn't really even understand, like who they're talking about, what they're talking about, where they were, why we're talking about cattle or sheep or, whatever. And all the ritual and all of that just was like got in the way of like understanding and experiencing God. Yeah, at
It
least was
did.
my experience.
It's same as mine. And while I was in remote viewing, I'm an associate remote viewer and I'm a scientific remote viewer. I have two different coaches. I was taught associate remote viewing by David Wallace. He's the top psychic medium in Hawaii. Both coaches, and I don't want to forget Tony Civilele. He taught me how to scientific remote view. But both the coaches, and we're going to move to the Dolores Cannon, but both coaches taught me the art of realizing and using the subconscious mind.
Mm.
And the subconscious mind is so tricky if you're not familiar with how to separate it from the conscious mind. And they would teach me how to, not teach me how to meditate, but they would encourage me, you need to get a practice, whether it's yoga, whether it's a deep prayer, whether it's meditation, whether you're doing breathing techniques, you need a practice that can calm you and bring you down to a almost still level of peace, of calmness, so that Jason, you can differentiate when your conscious mind answers for you and your subconscious mind gives you the answer. In remote viewing, we work with the subconscious mind. And I learned the technique. I got really, really good at it. I'm a professional remote viewer at this point.
So can you clarify what is an associate remote viewer versus a scientific?
Scientific remote viewing is uncovering objects unknown to you, whether it be buildings, a city, in different galaxies, different dimensions, anywhere in the world that's unknown to you. So that means that there's an instructor saying, hey, I have a picture right here of something. Here are the coordinates 4311. Only numbers. Tell me what it is.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Yeah, so and it's out there. There's a lot of remote viewers out there. So you go off of those coordinates and those numbers, once they associate a number with the object that you're to find, it is time stamped in the ether of space, in this Christ consciousness that we call, that connects all of us, the etherical field, all where you can pull this information down and we get downloads. So it's there. And when they give us the number, we have a pen in our hand and we let, just like you can subconsciously write, and we just let our hand flow. And it's called an ideogram. And once we do the ideogram, then we touch it with the tip of the pen, or some people touch it with their fingers or their hands, and instant information comes. Now, the reason why we talked about meditation helping you move to a depth where you can tell the difference between the conscious and the subconscious mind, I was taught by both of my instructors that once you touch the ideogram, the subconscious mind knows everything that you're doing right now, that you have done and that you will do, knows everything about you. And once you touch it, the subconscious mind typically gives you an answer within 1.3 seconds. And after that, the conscious mind will answer. So I was touching it, car, and you write car down, touch it again, moving. And then they'll give you another command. Is it long? Is it short? Is it hot? Is it cold? Touch it, cold. So you put the pieces together step by step, and that's scientific remote viewing. You're just breaking down step by step. Associate remote viewing is being able to predict future events, predicting the outcome of a football game, a basketball game, a stock, whether it's the Dow Jones up or down, S&P 500 up or down, business relationship. I've had clients to even use me, Jason, can you do me a session? Which casino should I play? I'm going to be staying at the MGM Grand. So in that instance, can you go online or get me a floor plan of the casino floor? And I will just do a associate remote viewing session. And the way I was taught to do associate remote viewing, Kara, is using pictures to tell us where to go, yes or no. This area, yes or no. This machine, yes or no. And we use the pictures and we embed them in our minds. You have 10 envelopes, and each envelope has a different photo. It may be a plate of breakfast, one photo may be a horse, one photo may be just whatever. And Harold Putoff, one of the pioneers of remote viewing, came up with a formula. And he said that if you are able to get under 3.5, then it's a no. If you're over 3.5, it's a yes. And he matched this formula with thousands of remote viewing sessions. So we get these envelopes and we shuffle them, and will show me the location in the casino that is most likely to hit for my client Kyra. And we're shuffling 10 envelopes and we pull one out. Show me the location that's not most likely to hit from my client, Kyra, and pull one out. So we have two envelopes with photos that we don't know which one they are. Okay. So we'll go through our little calculations, little steps. And the first thing we do is we 5-minute meditation, 7-minute meditation, and then come out of it. We start to sketch what we think is the actual picture that says, yes, this machine will hit. So we'll sketch it. And then you open envelope one and then you match it numerically. Okay, we have all these characteristics, Kara: taste, touch, smell, texture, temperature. So we match it up, the picture out of the envelope. Okay, I give it a 3, I'll give it a 7, out of categories. And then you take the other envelope, you open it up. It may be the exact sketch, or it may be very similar, or it may not be. But let's just say it's very similar, and we'll look at it, we'll give it higher numbers, and we use a different color ink. And once you add all those up and go and put them in a formula created by one of um, the pioneers of remote viewing, Harold Putoff, you put the formula in and you come up with 1.37, 1.8, 2.7. The closer you are to 3.5, or you may be over 3.5, and that's a yes. So the machine that you had circled that could hit a jackpot, that would be the machine. And I know I'm kind of squeezing that in there, but that's the basis of associate remote viewing. But we're still accessing the subconscious mind to do these things. So it's so incredible. It's a fascinating skill. But the reason why we talk about I talked about remote viewing in the subconscious mind, because once Dolores Cannon's technique started to really resonate with me, I had read all her books and I was already a clinical hypnotist, already certified. But just the fascinating experiences Dolores was a part of when she would interview her clients and move them into a deep, deep theta brainwave state. She calls it the sambulistic state, the state where you're asleep, but you're not, because her voice is keeping you awake. And we get to this state and we're able to heal. We're able to help with mental illness. We're able to move you to different lifetimes. I perform past life regression in this state, and we're able to access the subconscious mind, the higher self. And when we bring that brilliance out, imagine I'm using the higher self and the subconscious mind in remote viewing just by listening very intently. But now I can hear it coming out of your mouth in a session. So it's absolutely wonderful.
It's almost magical, it's incredible. So, I would love to hear some stories from either QHHT or your remote viewing. Can you give us a little bit? You use the example of the casino, but can you give an example of anything that comes to mind of just what those experiences have been like for you?
Yes. One story that comes to mind, had a client, and she knows that I doctor the names and everything when I talk about it. But I had a client who she was just having dreams. People in her room didn't know who was in her room. So needless to say, I had her in a deep, deep, deep level of theta. And once I moved her to the sambulistic state, I dropped her off the cloud. And when she hit the ground, I said, "Where are you? Look around you. What do you see?" And she's looking around. "I'm in the woods." "You're in the woods? Look around. Can you see the sky? Is it night or day? Do you have hands? Do you have feet?" So we asked all these questions, and she's answered all those questions. I said, "What are you wearing?" It has blood all over it. I said, What are you wearing? A dress. And they're after me. They're after me. And they're not going to get me again. I said, Where are you? And who's after you? I'm tired of them. I'm tired of them. And she was running. And actually, while she was in trance and I'm sitting in front of her, sh- she's actually breathing like she's running.
Wow.
And I said, Who's chasing you? Those men are chasing me. So I said, let's move from this place. Let's move from this time, this space, backwards to another time, to another place. Where are you? So there's some other things that I'll say. Now we're now at another time. We're now at another place. Where are you now? I'm in the bedroom and they're out there. Who's out there? Those men. They're not coming in here again. They're not gonna mess with me again. So you get the picture what happened. I moved her back before whatever they did to her that caused blood to be on her dress. So there were men in this cabin or in this home with her. And obviously she broke away and she was running from them. So those are some of the stories we get when we move them to different past lives. And another lady, I moved her to a past life. And
Before you get to that one, did it resolve the dreams, the recurring dreams that once she was able to connect with that?
that was one of them. The subconscious mind will not show you anything that is not important to you. It will always protect you. It will always show you things that are in your best interest to see, not more, not less. So the next lifetime, we moved the young lady to, she was in a mundane life. She was
And this
living,
is the same woman?
same woman. She was on a
Uh-huh.
farm and she was with her husband and her kids. And I said, there's nothing here to see. So I knew that she was attacked as a little girl and appeared to be on some kind of a plantation, maybe a little, maybe a black girl, a slave or somewhere they were after her. So once I moved her back and I asked to speak to the subconscious while I still had her in the somnambulistic state. And I said, Melissa is afraid of these dreams she's having about someone being in her room. Can you tell us why? And the face, the mouth will move and you'll get the little twitches in the lips. She knows who it is. She knows the person in her room is actually living with her.
Oh my
And
goodness,
I
this
said,
is
who
giving me
is
so
it?
many chills.
Right.
Wow.
Who is this? And this person is close to her, but this person loves her. And it was actually, we'll just say it was someone living with her, a brother that was her husband in a different lifetime. And she was having dreams of this person always in her room. Oh, and but actually it was the husband of a different lifetime just checking on her. But he actually was her brother in this particular lifetime. These are some of the things that when you read Dolores's book, you're like, "Nah, that cannot happen." I've actually, Cara, I've witnessed it. I've
Oh my
witnessed it. I've
goodness.
seen it. We are characters in a movie, just like Dolores says. We're playing a role here while we're incarnated on Earth. We're here to learn. And we're here to co-create. And we're here to find our way back to oneness, which is God, to understand that He still is source for all of us. And source is experiencing in every one of us. We're all the same, we're all connected, but God's particle is in each one of us experiencing the physical, having these experiences with trillions of people throughout and I can't even say what comes after trillion, throughout every dimension, every galaxy you can think of. Source is having all these experiences at once. So that was a very interesting session I had. And I had another lady, and this was funny. I was moving her through different lifetimes, and we landed in one lifetime. And I said, Where are you at now? I'm in my room. She was a little baby. And then
Oh,
I'm playing with my toys. I'm in my room. So it just shows you, I don't have to go into that one much, but it just shows you the different personalities that people will take on while they're moving through different lifetimes doing past life regression. And we use past life regression therapy to be able to find out where the blockages are that you're experiencing right now as an adult. Maybe you have anxiety, maybe you're depressed all the time, maybe you're fighting back and forth with your daughter. You don't know why you and your husband can't get along. We can pinpoint it. Typically, we'll find it in one of these lifetimes. And if we don't, then when we bring the higher self back out, you've already had a list of questions that you wanted answered for you. And we'll ask each question to your higher self. Why is Amy and her husband always arguing with each other? And the answer will come out. And the clients are amazed because it's videotaped and we audio tape it. And they'll say, "Who in the world is that talking, Jason?" That's you talking.
Because the voice changes so much,
Oh,
or just
yeah.
the wisdom, or
The both, Cara, the
Mm.
wisdom and the voice. Sometimes the voice can even change into the dialect. I had another client who was suffering from cancer, and at the end of the session, we had gone through all these different things. I said, "Can you heal the cancer?" "No, there's not enough water in the body." I said, "So you're gonna heal the cancer with water?" "Yes, water and light." "Oh, is that how you
Huh.
heal cancer?" "Yes." Can you give is there anything else we can do for Marlene? Marlene has to want this for herself. We tried. We always try. So when we hear words like that, third person conversation, we know for a fact that it's the higher self, it's the subconscious mind speaking. If we hear I, when we have a person in that state, then they're asking the question themselves. So we're trained to know the difference between you answering and your higher self answering. But at the end of that session, before I ended the session, I asked, were there any other beings, any loved ones, any spirit guides that would like to leave Marlene with a word of advice or a word of inspiration? And we do that with every client. And we never know who may come into the body and speak. It may be a loved one, it may be whoever. And her mouth moved and it perched. "This is her grandmother." And she had this southern accent. "I'm right here on the porch and it's so hot out here." And you could just tell she was like, "Oh, Lord, it's hot out here." And I said, "Are you?" And I was looking at my list. In the pre interview, I try
Oh,
to get
right.
everybody's name, all the characters in your life. And I get all the names so that can refer back to say, "Well, what is your name?" "I'm her grandmother," in this Creole dialect. And I said, "Are you Fanny, Mama Fanny?" She was like, "Yeah, who are you?" I said, "Well, I'm Jason. I'm here to help. I'm trying to help. She's dealing with cancer. Is there anything that you can say to help her? You gotta fight, baby. You gotta fight." And that the dialect was just so different than her actual voice. And she was talking about, "I raised you right, and your mama raised you right." And so it was just so amazing to hear these fluctuations in the voice while this session was going on with the client. And so those are two or three amazing stories.
Those
Then that's
are
why I
amazing.
love quantum healing hypnosis so much, because you will learn some things from a spiritual teacher and channeling. I have a channeling certification, but I don't hear when I channel. I see visions, but I don't do it like the instructor. And so I learned how to channel, but I just hadn't had that experiences of the channelers. Quantum healing hypnosis, I've had the experiences. I've been right there. I've seen and I've heard the brilliance of the subconscious mind and the higher self speaking. It is absolutely incredible.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing those, and it's really interesting how much you talked about the voice. You brought the voice into it so much, and this whole time I've been like, his voice is amazing. There's stuff in his voice. He's carrying things in his voice. So you are projecting a lot with your own voice too. So it's really funny like that subconsciously you're bringing that up into the surface even though you're not talking about yourself, but it's clear
And the
that
key is to be when you're trying to move a person into a trance state, you have to be believable.
Mhm.
Imagine yourself moving through the air, the clouds are breezing, the wind is blowing. So you have to help the client visualize where you want them to be. And you have to have that trance, that induction voice.
Mhm.
If you want this person to relax and to trust you.
You
Oh,
have it in spades.
thank you.
Have
Wait,
you had any Oh, go ahead.
remote viewing, I had a client, my spiritual teacher, Chloe Moores, she wrote the foreword in my book. And Chloe called me. She texted me one day and she says, Jason, and Chloe, by the way, is a Reiki master. She's a spiritual teacher. She's an outstanding channeler and she's a communicator, animal communicator. So Chloe really communicates with animals. She can know their feeling and they relay their feelings to her. So Chloe called me one day and she texts me and says, Jason, I have a client of mine who cannot find her dog. And I write about this in the book. And she says, I can feel it and is scared. But I need for you to use your remote viewing skills to locate this dog. I said, okay, Chloe. And she'll pay you whatever. I'm like, no, I'm not. She's in distress. I'm just going to do it for her because you asked me to. So I get on the phone with the lady and I said, hey, listen, get a picture of the dog. And I want you to get 4 digits. It could be any numbers you want and take the picture and look at it. And 3122, 3122, 3122, 3122. Jason's gonna find you. 312, Jason will find you. I said, embed the codes, the numbers in the photo. I
Oh,
said,
that's interesting. So you talked about that before with the numbers, but I was thinking of
yes,
them as like some latitude, longitude
no,
coordinates. So
we're
it's a programmed number that the person on the other side, the trainer or whatever is encoding with their consciousness so that you can I see. Okay,
yes,
that's super cool.
we're
Okay.
embedding this code into the actual target. And
Right.
your thoughts are like energy and moves at the speed of light and it's embedded in the ether of space. So our conscience is not local. Our conscience is beamed in from another place. We're not thinking around here on our own. Everything that we think is being beamed in from a higher place. So I had her embed those codes into the picture, it was in the ether. It was in Christ consciousness. So for me to pull it down, I just needed to go through my session and go through my steps. And then when I touched the picture or touched the photo, it gave me information. So I did not know where the dog was. And so I told her to do that. And I said, okay, give me about 15, 20 minutes. Let me go through the steps. So I go through all the steps and I do the ideogram and I touch the photo and immediately I got the impression there was a river. So I drew a river. I touched the ideogram again. Trees. I drew trees. Touched it again. It's like, park. People were sitting out at the park because I'm looking at the first piece of information card that's coming to me. So I'm drawing like tents and people just sitting out and touched it again. Okay, is that a tower? I think it's an electrical tower. So I drew electrical tower with the lines. I drew that. And I took a picture of it and I texted to her. I said, this is what I'm getting. Oh my God, Jason, we were there earlier that day. And that's where we were at first. She named the park. That's the park down the street. The exact same thing. I said, that's what I'm picking up from the photo. I said, I'll keep working. So I kept working. I called my instructor, Tony Civilele, my scientific remote viewing instructor. He's like, hey, what's going on? And I said 3715. He's like, what are you doing first? I said 37152. 3715. 3715. He says, what is this? I said, it's a lost dog. I said, here's a chance to practice. Let's just see if we can do this. He says, okay. So he's doing it and I'm doing the session and he's coming up with a long fence. And I'm like, yeah, I have a fence and there's a big tree that I wrote. He said, I'm not getting a tree, but I'm getting a fence. And I'm getting fun and outdoor. And he was getting all these things like that I was getting at first. He says, he's outdoors somewhere, possibly by a fence. I said, okay. And I said, I have a tree by a fence that I sketched out. So I called her back and I said, I think he's sitting right by a tree. Is it a huge tree there with a fence? She says, Jason, we found him already. I said, where'd you find him? He was stuck under a fence, trying to get under a fence. So
Oh,
was there a tree right there? She said, yes, there's a big tree next to it.
oh my
So I
gosh.
had the tree. I thought he was by the tree, but he was actually he was stuck under the fence, his collar, and he couldn't get free. So that's
Oh
my
my
remote viewing story.
wow, that is powerful.
And have
Thank
you
you
ever
for
heard of
sharing that.
Skinwalker Ranch? Well,
Yes.
okay, so in my book, I do a session over Skinwalker Ranch. So I won't share that story, but I kind of uncover what I think is underground there. My instructor did that for me specifically so I could put it in the book. So
Wow.
that came out wonderful. Make a long story short, running water, humanoids. I didn't say humanoids.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're human, but they have legs and feet.
They're bipedal, is that how you say that? Or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I'm not sure,
bi
but humanoid type beings with a number of crafts in this
and
underground.
malevolent? Do you get malevolent?
I
Well,
just they were
yeah.
just in there working. I didn't get anything
Okay.
like that.
It was neutral, it wasn't like goodies or baddies. Because
It
there's
was
some
neutral.
creepy stuff. I haven't seen a lot of those episodes, but it's very creepy, and I'm like but I don't think that all ET or paranormal stuff is, or bad news, so but it definitely the spin on the show is, like, creepy kinda
Yeah, and
thing, but
that's to sell, the
right,
audience.
right.
But I'm
But
with
you don't
you.
get that?
I don't get that, and I don't get that with any of the and I've done some remote viewing sessions in the past. I wanted to remote view Jupiter and Saturn and see if there's life on Venus. I've done all that with my instructor. He's like, "No, man, let's just stick to the basics." I'm like, "No, I wanna do more. I wanna do more. I'm good at this, Tony." He says, "You are. You are good at it."
That's amazing.
But it's a fascinating skill, and Kara, we on my podcast, Expansion of Consciousness, I'll be in season 4 in November. We've had at least 3 live remote viewing sessions, and you know who does the best when we do the live sessions, and I have Tony to come on and he'll do the sessions, women.
Hmm.
And women are the best remote viewers. Women are more in contact with themselves. They can get the information much quicker from the subconscious mind. And you want to know why?
Why is
It's,
that?
it's because women, they welcome emotion. They experience emotion at a different and a higher level. We're reared to be tough. We got the family guy, and we're gonna instill discipline. And no, we're not gonna. You better not cry. And we're behind the 8 ball when it comes to experiencing the modalities and having this relationship with Source. And it happened with me. My spiritual teacher said, Jason, you have to open up your heart and embrace love. Not that I didn't, but in a different way and feel your emotions. And when I started to do that, I started to excel in my spiritual walk, in my spiritual journey.
Oh, it's such great wisdom because
Yes.
it's so true. I think for even for women, for a lot of us, that's also a hurdle. Like I personally have, overvalued my intellect for so long and my rational mind and I had to open back up to the heart and reprioritize what I value. And it took a long time to do that, to really find true value in the emotion and in the not prizing the intellect so much. That was a
And
journey
and
for me.
and and that whole mindfulness practicing I've done over the years and transcendental meditation. I started off with guided meditation because I didn't know if I could sit there a long period of time, just me not hearing anything. And once I became a TMer, meditation became so much more beautiful to me.
Mm.
And, different breathing techniques, prana breath, kalapate breath, box
Oh, yeah.
breathing, um, 4-7-8 breathing, just and I write about these different breathing techniques in my book, but I started to then play with how I was meditating and introducing different things. I started to manifest because I asked my transcendental meditation instructor, "Hey, do you ever manifest in your meditations?" He's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, you're going too fast with it." I'm like, "No, I tried it." And I said, when it said minute 16, minute 17, somewhere in there, when I've reached complete transcendence, peace, just tranquility, quietness. And then give permission for source to intervene in my life because we're avatars with free will. And if you want anything to happen, you must give permission first. And I give permission, and then I would send me a client today. I need a client if you want me to continue to do this work. And I'll ask for a few other things and I'll end it with, it is done. Because I was taught that you can't pray weak. You can't request weak. Oh, if you do this for me, God, I
Command it.
promise you, God, I'll no, because we're spiritual beings made of light and sound and energy. We are power. We are gods, each one of us. And I was doing this, just messing around, practicing, manifesting within my transcendental meditation. And Cara, Cara, I'm telling you, I would finish meditating, not 30, 40 minutes later, I'll have an inquiry on my website. A customer will want to have a consultation and I will close them that day. It fascinated me to I just didn't know. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. So
That's
I've played around with
amazing.
that. Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Wow, Jason, this has been it's been so much fun. And just I could listen to your voice all day, so I've appreciated that as well, but all the insights and the stories, I really appreciate your time and your connection. Can you tell people how they can find you and remind them about your book?
Yeah, you can find me at www.jasonmedlock.com. And all the social media tags, they're all on the website. So if you hit any one of them, you can find me. My book, Empowered by Consciousness, is out already. It was a number one bestseller on Amazon. And then thank
Congratulations.
you. Then the very next day, it was a national bestseller. And I asked my publisher, how did that happen? They said, well, you're in a 35,000 range, book range. There are millions of books on Amazon, but your book was ranking in the 35,000 range. So now you can say that you're a national bestseller. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. But
Fantastic.
yes, the book is so fascinating. It just talks about all of the modality, astral projection, the subconscious mind, meditation, psychedelics, and you got to have me back in your show. I have a psychedelic story. I've tried it just so I could write about it. Wow. Yeah, that's all I can say right now is wow. But it talks about all these modalities, and then I demystify them and I help people in layman's term understand what they are through research that I've done on each one. And then I talk about my experiences on what happened when I tried them. And then I give them a simple way to practice it and use it to help them in their lives. And so it's a nice book. It's about 230 pages, an easy read, and it's at Amazon right now. And yeah, you can pick it up. And I've mixed all these modalities into my coaching business, my mindset coaching business. So I'm not the traditional coach, and I'm an executive coach, and I'm certified by Tony Robbins, and I've been here this corporation. No, I use modalities to help remove blockages and to help change paradigms on how people think, so they can move to a place to achieve whatever they want in their life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would love to have you back on and we can explore more around consciousness, including your psychedelic story. That would be awesome.
And you too. I'll start season 4
Oh,
in
I'd love
November.
to.
Yes, I want you to come on so we can have some fun.
That'd be awesome. Wonderful. Thank you again so much, Jason. I've really loved this.
All right. Thank you too, Cara. I appreciate it.